What we're going to talk about today is building scalable learning academies using SuccessFactors with Blend LXP. And uh, so as we go through that, hopefully you're able to see my screen. But just a very quick snapshot around who we are. If you're not already come across Talent Team, we are a SAP SuccessFactors Gold partner, been around for a very long time, done over 150 projects, heavily rated and very highly rated on Raven Intel, which is like a TripAdvisor for HR technology providers. So do recommend you to go check that out. Check out ravenintel.com and look for Talent Team there. And again, Blend and a few of other solutions have won many innovative awards as well. As an organization, we do all of SuccessFactors implementation, support, health checks, etc. But what truly makes us unique is we utilize the knowledge that we have from closely working with customers on those capabilities, like the health checks, the implementation services, identify product gaps, enhancements that we could carry out to bring better value to our customers and to the ecosystem, and create our extensions like the Blend LXP that you will see today. So what we're going to see, we're going to start with a very quick overview on Blend LXP. And if you've attended any of the sessions before on Blend LXP, it may be a bit of a recap around that. So we'll do a high-level demonstration of the LXP before we go into how do we utilize Blend LXP to actually create the concept of learning academies. Of course, Blend LXP all through this extends SAP SuccessFactors. So it's SuccessFactors kind of providing that backbone of learning administration capabilities, but then with LXP capabilities added by Blend. If you have any questions throughout the sessions, please feel free to put them in the Q&A, and either my colleagues or I will cover those towards the end. We'll have enough time for Q&A as well. So what's Blend? Blend's a learning experience platform, and it's quite unique in its way, where it looks to combine content, so aggregating content from all of your various sources where the content may sit. And this includes your content sources like the SuccessFactors Learning, any other content platforms that you may have a relationship with, whether it's LinkedIn Learning, Coursera, etc. Even if it's not directly connected into SuccessFactors, we have the ability to connect directly into those. But not just that, even video platforms like Kaltura, Vidyard, or be able to pick up documents or assets from SharePoint repositories, etc. as well. Any content source, we have the ability to bring those in. We extend SAP SuccessFactors, not just on the learning, but also on the permissioning, the role-based permissions, the user profile, skills, all of that, and extending career and development capabilities as well to bring all of that into one curated experience, which is Blend. Through this, you've got some amazing learning experiences that we'll take a look at, user and manager capabilities, some automation capabilities, playlists, gamification, all of that being put together once. And that's really why we call it a blend of technology, content, and learning experiences all coming together in one place. With Blend, the LXP sits within either WorkZone or SharePoint. So WorkZone or SharePoint provide the portal capabilities, and Blend sits within that, which means that we have the ability to design these really beautiful experiences within the platform. Every organization that uses the platform uses it differently. Their look and feel of the platform is different because you have complete control over how we design the pages, how we design your platform, how it's structured. Additionally, as I said, this is the only platform that is built for and only for SuccessFactors Learning. So it does not extend any other learning management systems, which means we align ourselves very closely to SAP, the capabilities of SuccessFactors, and truly try to get those out into the LXP so that it's very deeply integrated. One of the only platforms really to have some of the integrations like respecting SuccessFactors Learning catalog permissions, being able to get real-time completions from SuccessFactors Learning, or even being able to launch SuccessFactors Learning content inline right within the platform without leaving the platform at all. Additionally, if you're looking for a skills-based experience as well, and we did this session just last month, we fully integrate and extend SuccessFactors Talent Intelligence Hub if you have implemented that or are looking to implement a skills-based solution. This includes being able to provide skill libraries, automatically map all of your learning courses to skills, being able to understand roles and skills that may be associated with those, and even be able to carry out skill assessments. Okay, so with that, let's jump into the platform and take a quick look. Hopefully you're able to see the browser. If I can get a thumbs up from someone, that'll be great. Fantastic. So I'm going to start the demonstration with the experience right within WorkZone. I will later jump into SharePoint as well, just to be able to show you both of these experiences. But I'm in WorkZone, and SAP WorkZone, again, is a portal capability, digital experience capability. And the key thing around this is, as I mentioned before, being able to design this experience, design the pages as you like. So as a user comes in, to start with, there's a really personalized message to the user, welcoming them to the platform, allowing them to search the catalog. But as we go down further, we can see some trending content. And this is where the content from all of those various platforms that we have the ability to bring content together from comes in and is starting to show to the user based on what's trending. Now, this is curated down to the user's interests, which we ask the user the first time they log in, but also they're able to update this at any point. All through this, the user has the ability to take social interactions, liking a content, recommending a content to a colleague, being able to add it to a playlist so that, if they want to categorize the content for later consumption, or be able to simply report a problem, schedule it to view later, etc. as well. Along with the content discovery, there's also the ability to make announcements or be able to have reinforced learning. Another example that we may see here is, let's have a quick look. So knowledge check. So because I completed this course a few days ago, an admin has configured a generative AI-based assessment, which has been created automatically in the backend and is automatically pushed out to the user X number of days, whatever you define that to be, after the user completes a course, ensuring that once I've taken the training, a few days later, we are able to assess or reinforce the learning as well. So all of these capabilities right in the platform. Of course, the topic for today is academies, so we'll come to these in a few minutes. But additionally, I also have the ability to bookmark content, be able to save it for later, or simply be able to access my recently accessed courses. And also be able to slice and dice the catalog in any way. If you want to promote a certain provider, if you want to promote a certain topic, you have the ability to take the catalog, slice and dice it through any of the filtering capabilities that we'll take a look at and be able to present that here. Again, creating that Netflix kind of experience, creating that the experience around pushing content to the users. If I look at launching one of these courses, like let's say this Blend LXP skill management, what we'll notice is along with the not just the ability to bring in content, but this is an example of a content that was uploaded to the platform. And as we can see, it's not just about continuing from where I left off, but truly within the video, it even remembers exactly where I stopped. So being able to bring in tracking capabilities using XAPI around in videos, in documents, so that the user has a seamless and a continual experience. As I go into assign learning, this is where, and again, this is a page that we've designed to put all of the SuccessFactors learning integrations in one place. But as I said, every organization designs them differently. So as we come in here, they're able to get a quick snapshot of where I am with my learning, what I've done this year, what's pending, my total points, my topics that I'm interacting with, etc. Being able to look at any of my SuccessFactors learning assignments, so my any courses that have been assigned, whether mandatory or optional, directly from SuccessFactors Learning. And if I take a look at one of these courses, like Amazon Climate Pledge quiz, if I click on this, you'll recognize the screen that this is now bringing the content in directly from SuccessFactors. So this is a SuccessFactors learning assessment. So any online content that exists in SuccessFactors, we have the ability to launch this right within the platform without ever leaving the platform. In which case the user may get lost, user clicks somewhere else, and we've lost the user from our platform. So allows the user to remain more focused, more centered, and within the system. As we look further, any of the curricula details, Upcoming events, once again, the only LXP to provide integrations at this layer to go down into the class level, into the curricula level, but we know that these are important. Curricula is important for many organizations to drive their compliance capabilities, and classes remain a massive challenge for many organizations in maximizing the capacity within those classes and ensuring that people, reducing the no-shows, etc. So being able to surface these in here massively helps fill that gap. Being able to look at any of my completions directly from SuccessFactors or anything I've completed within the platform, but also be able to simply add it to my continuous performance if I'm quite proud of something that I've done and I want to record that as an activity or an achievement. If I look further into Explore, similar to what we saw on the homepage, being able to look at content sliced and diced in many different ways. We start with a very powerful recommendation engine, being based on recent activity or based on recommendations from my colleagues, my network, people like me, etc. So being able to look at recommendations from many different ways, and then being able to look at content that's been sliced and diced, part of a campaign that the organization may be running on career development or other learning journeys that are being promoted or leadership journeys that may be being promoted. As we look into the catalog, this is a catalog which combines the content from all of those various sources that we talked about, all of those platforms, everything coming into one place, being able to now filter content on any of these areas. But if we start to take a quick look at playlists, playlist is a way, as we look into it, I have the ability to add content into a playlist. And if we start to take a quick look at one of these playlists, this is a way to access curated content, which may be created by me because I have created my own playlist, or it could be a playlist that has been created by a subject matter expert in the business and simply been adopted by me. So there should be one for machine learning. Let's have a look. Machine learning. And at this point, I can take a look at all of the content that's available within this, be able to launch it, know my progress, but I can also see that there's a badge associated with it. And if I complete the playlist, get it to 100%, I will be awarded this badge. With the badging, we do integrate into Credly as well. So if you have Credly, have the ability to issue the badge via Credly as well. And one last piece before we move on to the academies is the concept of learning tracks. While playlists remain an informal way of collating or putting content together, if I start to look at learning tracks, these are more defined learning journeys that could be added to the system. And if I look at one of the learning journeys that I may be enrolled into, for example, let's take a look at transformative leadership. I can take a quick look at the details, the skills that are associated with it, the details around the track. And as we go to continue track, I will be able to see the details within this. I can see there's 3 modules and there is a badge associated with it. Within this, I've completed the first one. There were 3 pieces of content and I've completed them all. These content can be courses, can be link, can be simply a text, like an activity that you need to complete. And they could be mandatory, or we could define that you need to do 3 out of the 5. So all of these being available while giving the user a very clear indication on where they are with the overall completion of the track. So again, many different ways to provide content because we recognize that organizations have different content structures. So whether you simply put a content out as a standalone content, make it part of a playlist, a learning journey, or a learning track like this, all of these are options that are available through the platform. As a manager, I have the ability to look at detailed insights around my team, what they're up to, what they've been working on, the learning trends, what are they searching for, popular formats, durations, etc. And even be able to look at who's spending how much time learning, how many courses they've completed, and be able to see a leaderboard very specifically of my team as well. Additionally, any SuccessFactors learning approvals will be visible right here. And I'm able to take a look at any of my team members and see their SuccessFactors learning, if anything is overdue, if I need to follow up on anything, and be able to look at any of these, allowing me instant access to that information. Perfect. So with that, hopefully that gives you a bit of a flavor around what the LXP is before we jump into the Learning Academies. Now, why is Learning Academies, important, and why is that difficult in the large enterprises? First, I think the content is with learning academies typically comes into play when you've got learning training organizations, whether it's a sales training organization, technology training organization, etc., which are part of a departmental based training organization. Now, content is structured across many different places. Content is being created within those departments, which means content is fragmented across many areas. While the content may all be added into one learning management system, you've got visibility challenges. So as a departmental training organization, I quite often may struggle to get my content visible in the enterprise platform, in that large platform, because again, it gets lost in all of that content that sits within, and it may not really get featured to the right audiences there. This quite often results into departments making, unauthorized workarounds. And when I mean unauthorized, from a global strategy perspective, which essentially leads into local tools, local systems, which then creates the problem of fragmented data and inconsistent learning experiences. This starts to cause a challenge because traditionally learning management systems don't really support the concept of academies within them, which makes, again, with the different systems, reporting becomes a challenge. And of course, there's an impact both on the organization from a reporting perspective, but also on the user from a fragmented learning experience. And this is where Blend comes to help in. We looked at the concept of designing your own pages. With both Workzone as well as SharePoint, we have the concept of creating mini portals within the larger system as well, which essentially means as targeted workspaces or SharePoint sites for each academy, giving these departments their own branded learning hubs, and while maintaining the connection to the LXP, single place of tracking, single place of reporting. Also, being able to create these academies means users can now go into a focused area to be able to look at topic-specific or team-specific learning or skill-specific learning. And again, all of this being driven by the same LXP, by one platform instead of fragmenting out into different platforms. So we'll take an example of Sujesh from the Sales Academy lead. Sales team represent a small percentage of the headcount, but may be driving significant revenue, represent the company. So they do require focused, high quality training. But Sujesh has a challenge that while all of that training is available in the LMS, it's very difficult to get the sales guys into the LMS because of everything else that's on the platform, which is distracting to them. They're not able to find the right content at the right time. A sales team is not able to get the right content promoted to these learners at the appropriate time, which could mean they need to look at either SharePoint sites with manually generated links into the LMS, which creates a massive overhead in terms of being able to track and report on that, alternatively, or even maintain that, or on the other hand, getting another LMS which is focused on the sales part of the business. So let's take a quick look at the concept of a sales academy. So I'll go into this workspace called Sales Enablement. If we start to take a look at this, this is a workspace. So again, away from all of these pages that we had, and within this workspace, you have the ability to make any user in the platform an administrator to this workspace. So they can now come in and design the page, add any content, bring in collaboration capabilities, be able to structure the offerings, structure any content within this, but also be able to bring in further learning capabilities as well, like we'll look at. Some of the features that we see here, feed and collaboration, being able to highlight certain contacts, important events that you can promote within here, polling, and all of those capabilities. But as I go into building sales relationship, which let's say is one of the key areas of the Sales Academy, and I can see that building sales relationship, I've got a set of content that's being promoted here, very specific to building sales relationships. So I can now, as a user in the sales in this sales organization, I have the ability to come in, look at some focus training that I can take, that I can discover without getting amongst all the noise of all the other courses that may exist. Similarly, I can go into negotiating skills then, and start to take a look at the courses again on negotiation specifically as well. We see a slightly different UI here, and that was purely done to showcase that the information can be presented in multiple ways. Of course, when the academy is being set up, typically an organization will use a consistent method of presenting these, or going into developing resilience and so on. So now, one, as a sales organization, I have the ability to create my own playlists and promote them. I have the ability to communicate with the learners around the latest offering, content, etc., that may be coming. I have the ability to provide my learners a very focused experience around skills, being able to talk to the experts, being able to collaborate with subject matter experts, or even be able to share what I know with others as well. So creating this academy, giving complete control to the owners of the academy. Another example that we'll take a look at, and let me bring up the SharePoint version for that. So as I highlighted earlier, Blend's available both in WorkZone as well as in SharePoint. And we're now in the SharePoint version of the platform. And again, we'll see some similar capabilities like we've talked about before, like knowledge checks, trending content, etc. But as the focus is on academies for now, so I'm going to go into the Skills Academy, which has been set up here as well. So given the focus on skills in many organizations, perhaps there's an upskilling initiative where you want to promote certain skills and and allow your users to be a little bit more skills focused. So as I come in here into the Skills Academy, to start with, I'm able to see my skill profile. These skills could be coming in directly from SuccessFactors Talent Intelligence Hub or Growth Portfolio. So there is a direct integration available, which means any skills added there will automatically be available in here. I also then have the ability to add any additional skills in here directly if I wanted to simply have them as additional skills, or be able to mark any of these skills as a focus skill. Focus skill means that the recommendations will then start to get more tailored towards what I'm currently focusing on. As I scroll down further, I have the ability to look at, I can explore skills, look at some learning paths, etc. So let's start to navigate through these and look at what's available under Explore Skills. As we go in here, it shows me once again, I can look at this, and Anya Singh is an administrative support in SuccessFactors. That's my current role in SuccessFactors. These are all of the skills that are part of my job role. And if I want to look at any recommendations that may be relevant to that specific skill, I can simply click on that and be able to look at recommendations that can help me upskill myself on that area. Of course, a learning directly may not necessarily provide you the proficiency level, but you do have the ability to set up assessments in the platform as well, skill assessments that can be generated by administrators, which can then be taken by users to get some proficiency on these skills as well, prove my proficiency within those skills. So once again, complete integration with SuccessFactors to be able to drive this experience. As I go back into the Skills Academy, and I want to take a look at what learning paths may be available. So as I'm not quite sure what's the next skill. I know I want to expand on my skill set, but not quite sure what's available. So I could come into the featured learning paths and be able to look at content that has been curated and made available in here. Again, whether it's about communication, critical thinking, project management, etc., or simply be able to go down to a specific area, project management as an example, and be able to look at the content that is available for me to gain the skill or enhance my capabilities on that specific skill. One other aspect around this is, once again, if we want to look at further display and sharing of content, if I want to take a look at the top playlists, once again, I can come into the top playlists and be able to look at content that has been made available, like a sales enablement talent track, right? So be able to look at that content right in here, where a very specific track has been featured in here, or be able to look at the data analyst track if I want to explore that. What we'll see is I'm not quite enrolled, so it won't allow me to launch the content just yet. But once I've enrolled, all of this becomes accessible, and I then have the ability to launch this. So again, the ability to showcase content in many different ways, but the key element being whether it's SharePoint or WorkZone, the ability to that this doesn't have to be controlled centrally. While the central organizations manage the learning management systems, manage the learning experience platforms, you have the ability to create subsites in SharePoint or be able to create workspaces in WorkZone, give the departmental or localized training administrators complete capable permissions and authorization over that limited space where they have then the ability to promote their content, look at the content, and curate the content in the way that works best for them. So we did look at, so again, when we look at Blend LXP, what the benefits of using that, one, it provides that focused learning experience for the end users. So end users aren't just going into an LXP where there's a lot of content, which is appropriate for certain scenarios, for certain learners, but others may want that more focused and dedicated area, whether it's around skills enhancements, whether it's about emerging skills, a technology-based academy, tech academy, or a sales and marketing academy. It creates a departmental empowerment, allows them to have control over the training that they want to offer. Isn't just departmental, can be regional, can be countrywide, etc. Many different ways to provide the ability to manage and target your and promote your own content. And of course, this then allows you to promote it to the right audiences, making sure that we can increase the content visibility to the right people. All of this in one platform, which means you don't have to have the duplicate content across different platforms, and at the same time bringing in the reporting to create measurable business impact, all because it is now available in one platform. You have the ability to reduce unnecessary satellite systems coming up, etc. as well. And that's all. I'll take a few questions, but as I jump into the question as well, what we looked at today was obviously looking at academies within Blend LXP. As you know, we're running these quite regularly now, talking about different ways Blend can be used and different use cases for different organizations. The next couple that are coming up is on the 13th of August around surfacing relevant content in learning. So learning at the right moment, how do you create that really personalized experience about bringing the right content at the right time? And then looking at analytics, so really unlocking insights for smarter decisions, getting into the details of the reporting and analytics. With that, I'm going to start taking a look at the questions that have come through and answer any of those. Happy to take further questions as well, or if anybody would like to turn this into conversation, I can unmute you and we can have a conversation around these as well. So there's a question from Hitesh. It was mentioned that all pages are customizable. Does the ownership of developing this with the client in-house, or is it limited to Blend SAP? All of these pages, whether it's in SharePoint or in WorkZone, during the initial implementation, of course, we set up the initial set of pages with you, train you or your UX team to actually modify those. It is a low-code, not a low-code, a no-code solution where through a drag and drop element, being able to simply add widgets into the page, you have the ability to design all of these pages. So again, you don't, and on an ongoing basis, there is no dependency on Talent Team, Blend, or SAP to actually make these modifications or changes. There's a couple of interesting stories around that. One of the first customers, Blend, was launched about 5 years ago. And with the first customer that was going live, they went live about 3 weeks before pandemic hit us. So they had their entire page designed, lots of months of work that went into designing the launch of the new LXP. And then the pandemic hit, which basically meant the way, the focus, the communication, the messaging, the content that was being promoted, all of that had to change. And the organization, within about 3 weeks, they were able to completely design a new set of pages, be able to launch that, which was better aligned, both emotionally as well as supporting more supporting to the employees as well. 6 months later, they had to realize that mental health was a challenge, and they were able to then start promoting content around mental health. Content promotion around specifically to the managers around how they can better manage the teams remotely. So a system like Blend on Workzone and SharePoint really allows the organization to be very agile, very flexible in being able to react to the changing world, which we know I think is changing, at a very, very fast pace on a regular basis. The speed of change is massive. So it allows you to kind of be aligned to that. Most customers do look to enhance their pages. I don't want to say completely revamp it, but they do look at enhancing their experience or modifying it to a certain extent every couple of years. And others will continue to make ongoing changes in the interim to keep the system fresh and alive. There was a question around, do we have the ability to create a learning pathway for a learner that will be a blend of content in SuccessFactors, LinkedIn, and other content catalogs? Absolutely. So when we looked at it in the catalog, when I was in the catalog, obviously what you have is this is a catalog now of your courses in SuccessFactors Learning, courses that have been uploaded to Blend, as well as LinkedIn Learning, SharePoint, video platforms, etc. So you have the ability to simply create a new playlist, be able to combine content from any of these platforms and have that all in one place, being tracked in one place as well. Okay, question from Nathan, if we already have badges set up in Credly, do we have to rebuild them in Blend or can they be imported, including all requirements? If you already have badges in Credly, those badges can be linked to a learning journey or a playlist within the LXP. So no, you don't have to recreate them. Of course, what you have to do is you have to define the curation within Blend. So if it is a playlist, then what content is within that badge or what content is within that playlist needs to be defined within the platform, within Blend, but you can link it to an existing badge within Credly as well. And any badges that a user has from before you moved to the platform, they will also be visible to the user in their badges area. We didn't really look at the career and skills page earlier, but if I go in here, I will be able to see the skills widget that we saw, very specifically skills recommendations. And I believe there are gamification capabilities here, like being able to see all of my badges, whether they are driven from the platform directly or through Credly. Either one will start to show up in here, so I can take a look at these as well. As a manager, can I track required training compliance of my employees easily? Of course, when we were on the My Teams Insight, we saw the section where a manager is able to see any of their employees' upcoming learning, etc. That can be focused on the mandatory training only, so that you only get the visibility on the mandatory and you're able to take relevant actions on those. On the same screen, there is also the ability to export the data out into an Excel if you would like, which can, instead of looking at it on an employee by employee basis, you have the ability to get that out for all of your team members as well. Question from Cindy, do we need to have the skills turned on to use the Academy? No, you don't. So skills is a strong capability of the LXP, but it is something many organizations, I'd probably say we've got about an equal number of organizations using skills and not using skills. Not everyone's ready with the skill taxonomy, skill libraries, etc. There are things that we can help with from Blend perspective in getting you started on the skills journey, but organizations need to be ready for skills as well. And you can use Blend capabilities and specifically the Academy capabilities completely without skills. If we look at the example that I had around the sales enablement or the Sales Academy, that had nothing to do with skills. Of course, when we talk about building resilience, building relationships, they could be treated as skills, but they're not really linked to a skill directly in the platform. Can you do everything with Academy with Learning and Blend ILX licenses, or is there additional subscriptions needed? No, so part of Blend, it includes the capabilities around everything that you see in here. Of course, you either need Workzone or SharePoint licenses. So if your organization is using Workzone, great. If not, we can also put that on SharePoint, which you may have. In addition, any content licenses that you need are needed. So LinkedIn Learning, Coursera, Skillsoft, etc. Wherever you get your content from, those content licenses are needed, but nothing beyond that. In fact, Blend also comes with a content authoring tool. So we do provide licenses to a content authoring tool as well, which has a direct integration into Blend. It's an AI-powered content authoring tool. I'm sure we will be doing one of the sessions around content authoring at some point in the future. Okay, there's a question. Will learners' success factors profile get updated when they complete learning in academies? Absolutely. The integration goes both ways. So as users are completing the training, whether that's in SuccessFactors Learning or directly through Blend, the completions, if the item exists within SuccessFactors, then the completions are all sent back across to SuccessFactors Learning. So all of that learning tracking is maintained across the two platforms. And did you say you can add assessments to academies? Absolutely. We looked at assessments on both skills. So you have the ability to create skill assessments utilizing our generative AI capabilities in the platform. So on any skill, I have the ability to, within seconds, create an assessment, generate an assessment, and make that available to the users. Additionally, we also have the ability to create reinforcement learning. So for any learning item within the platform, any learning course within the platform, learning content, I can generate an assessment, once again, using Gen AI capabilities, providing it the context of the course, and then being able to generate an assessment that can be pushed out to the users after they complete the course. Okay, what are the biggest advantages to using Blend instead of the new SuccessFactors Learning custom pages? Nathan, there's plenty. I don't necessarily want to simply look at as a comparison to SuccessFactors Learning, because SuccessFactors Learning, obviously, it sits on top of SuccessFactors Learning, doesn't really look to replace it in as a platform, looks to replace it as an experience, but not as a platform. The key capabilities or advantages, if I can call those out, are the flexibility that you have on the complete design, but also the additional capabilities, whether it's the automation like content tagging of skills, being able to drive that skills-based experience, playlists, gamification, badging, the learning tracks and the learning journeys, being able to create these workspaces like the academies that we're talking about. And by academies, not just a page, but being able to create an entire experience within those. These are some of the capabilities that only Blend with a combination of SharePoint or WorkZone can provide you. Hopefully that answers. If there are any further questions, obviously feel free to ask further and I'll continue to provide those. Question from Abdur Rahman. In a regulated industry like pharmaceutical, how it could be possible to manage content in curricula to be able to see the progression and evolution of the training for a specific person or group. Curriculum don't allow this, however, programs can do, I think, but it is not recommended for procedure revision and retraining scheduling. Please advise. Thanks a lot. So, Abdurrahman, we actually have quite a few pharma organizations that are using the platform. One thing that I do want to call out is that this platform is not a GXP compliant platform. So we are not a validated system. The validated training is still delivered off SuccessFactors Learning. However, organizations that are using the platform, what they would look to do is, while they may have a curriculum within SuccessFactors, which is tracking the compliance, offering the retraining capabilities, etc., but then utilizing the platform to, whether it's in a learning track formation or a learning playlist formation, being able to create that in here as well, so that users then have the ability to actually, look at it in a visually progressive way as well, or look at the visual progression of their journey on that curriculum or on that learning track or playlist. So there are organizations who are using a combination of those two. Working with a very specific organization currently on one of the requirements that they have, where once again, they have learning tracks, but they want different forks to come out. So depending on who I am and what I've taken, then the training to automatically fork out into different parts and being able to drive based on that. And that's something that we're currently working with an organization, a pharmaceutical, to further enhance the platform. As an organization and as a platform philosophy, we work very closely with our customers on enhancements and a product innovation. All of that is done in hand with our customers. So there's constant feedback and innovation that's going on to support that. Question around how much flexibility do we have to tailor the page? As I mentioned before, while we help you initially with setting up these pages, we can provide UX resources if you don't have them within the organization to help actually design these pages. But it's complete control. It's 100% control. When we create a new page in the platform, that's really blank, right? And we can create as many of these as we like. It's blank. And you then have the ability to place, for example, a text area or an image or a video or a blend card like the skills card or a recommendation card. So the pages are designed based on, again, the way we design these pages is we look at the organization, the industry that they're in, the learning philosophy, and through these we have a set of different kind of templates that we maintain. So depending on what works best for the organization, we'll start off with that template, tailor it further to the organization, and then work with the organization's design teams to really make it personalized to that organization. As I said, there's no two Blend customers where the platform looks similar or that they use the same set of features. Everyone's using things slightly differently. Do learning paths support revision controls such as curricula? Um, yes and no. Yes, in the sense that your revisioning of items is still taking place in SuccessFactors Learning. And once you revise them, we do have the ability to automatically remove them from a learning path or a curriculum or a playlist. However, the replacement item would have to be added by yourselves directly, because again, we're not really looking to replace any of the SuccessFactors capabilities. SuccessFactors curricula is a very important capability and is very critical. And even with the LXP in place, remains a critical capability that you want to maintain. Um, can you get the same look and feel demonstrated in WorkZone regarding Academy site design in SharePoint? We can get very similar designs in both platforms. Of course, there are, the platform has its own capabilities and limitations. They have their own cards. Of the user that I'm logged in with in SharePoint does have edit capabilities. So as I go into this, what we see here is the different kind of widgets. Now, what's available in SharePoint is different to what's available in WorkZone. So the capabilities will be slightly different. But if we wanted to design very similar pages, then I can across both of these platforms as well. So that is something that is possible. Okay, if we have a batch of curricula that the learner should be trained on in a specific sequence, is there any way to do that? Absolutely. So what you can do is we can create a learning journey, right? When we're creating these different learning options that we saw, like for example, in the sales enablement, I had a set of courses that were being listed here. Now, these can be curricula as well within the learning journey, and you can force a sequential navigation through these. So the user must complete these before they move on to the next one. Do we have in-app reporting for learning, not just for line manager, but for admin and department leads to track completion and skill progression? Yes, we do. So there are multiple layers of reporting that's available. We saw some manager reporting. On the admin side, for the Blend administrators, there's detailed reports available across a variety of things around the content utilization, on how people are using the content, what's popular, and being able to look at transactional data as well. In addition, we also have the ability to provide reporting capabilities to somebody in the line of business as well. We provide an analytics tool along with this as well, which is based on SAP Analytics Cloud. Once again, you don't need to worry about licenses for those. They're all packaged in as part of our licensing for Blend, but you get access to an instance of SAC, which we refer to as Blend Advanced Analytics. And you have the ability to slice and dice the data in any way you like and be able to access all of the Blend data within that as well. Of course, all built with pre-built dashboards as well. Okay, can any admin add outside content or is that limited by access? Everything on the admin side can be controlled by access. So, while the administrators have the ability to add outside content, but what you can do is you can control who has access to that specific permission. So there is detailed role-based permissions available. Again, these role-based permissions are controlled directly from SuccessFactors, which means you can decide who has what role in the RBP area of SuccessFactors, but the actual role definition takes place within the LXP admin area. Once set up, what sort of ongoing maintenance support is offered by Talent Team? It varies depending on the customer's needs. Of course, the product support is provided as part of the licensing that you have to the product. So there is ongoing support that is provided around any questions you have, any challenges, any support that you need around the product. In addition, we do hold regular calls with our customer success team to be able to provide any guidance, look at adoption of the platform, and be able to provide any guidance around that as well. But also be able to engage in understanding where you are heading as a learning organization to ensure that we are able to support you, whether that's through our roadmap, our strategy, etc. as well. In addition, some organizations do have additional support contracts, which is around consulting support and delivery, or organizations will engage us when they have a project going on to be able to deliver something quite specific. So there are different options available depending on what you're looking for, but we are constantly in conversation and engaged with all of our customers, whether that's through a consulting support or simply customer success. Are assessments only completed by the learner, or can an assessment be completed by a learner's leader? Assessments here in this specific case that we're looking at are completed by a learner. We do have other tools, similar to the observations that we have in SuccessFactors. There are other tools that Talent Team offers, where there are some advanced capabilities beyond what SuccessFactors offers in observations, like the ability to attach evidence, being able to have multiple observers, being able to do multiple iterations of a specific task, having Gen AI capabilities to look at success criteria, failure criteria, etc. So there are other capabilities where if a manager needs to assess or observe something, then those can be utilized, but that's not in the Blend LXP that we are looking at today. Question from Ami: can programs or curriculums already created be ported into an academy? No, we're not looking at replacing. As I said, we complement what's in SuccessFactors. So if you've got programs or curriculum, they are surfaced within the LXP. Users can access them directly from here. Clicking on them will take them directly into the program or the curriculum, but there's no migration approaches from a program or a curriculum into these. So yeah. Can reports be run from Blend? Yes, as I answered that before, reports can be run. I think very specifically on the training history, even a learner can download their results into an Excel. Managers can run them, administrators can run them, and we can also give control to others via the tool that I talked about around Blend Advanced Analytics. With skill assessments, do line managers have the option to validate the self-assessment? For most SuccessFactors customers who have a wider skill strategy, we don't actually recommend enabling the skills rating capability directly within the platform. While assessments can be taken, which is the assessments that may be set up in the platform, they can be taken by users to rate themselves. However, when it comes to simply going ahead and self-rating, for any SuccessFactors customers, or SuccessFactors customers who have skills enabled in the SuccessFactors platform, we ask to disable that capability, because in that case, the skills ratings should be taking place in Talent Intelligence Hub or Growth Portfolio within SuccessFactors. Of course, if that's something you're interested in, I'm happy to have a chat with you around that. We can look into that, and there you do have the ability to control having the line manager validate a self-assessment. Okay, what kind of staffing requirement do you suggest within the L&D org to set up and maintain the site beyond what's required for the LMS? Typically, when we start to look at the setup of the LXP as well as ongoing maintenance, we normally see organization adding, probably about within the centralized learning team. And again, this will all vary depending upon the organization, the size of the organization, your approach and principles around learning and methodology around learning, how centralized or decentralized you keep things, etc. But what we see is you typically have one administrator that is added, which is essentially looking at supporting the capabilities. A lot of this is done by shared administrators with the LMS who will look at releases, adding capabilities, supporting with those. From a business perspective, or the learning administrators, the learning functional administrators, their key capabilities are focused around content curation. So when you look at the playlists, you look at the learning journeys, you look at setting up of workspaces, etc., the design and definition of those. It's very difficult to say what is the staffing requirement for this, because it depends upon, do you create 3 learning academies and just leave it at that? Or do you create 60 different learning academies based on topics? there's examples of both that organizations are doing. We saw a skills academy, whereas organizations are creating academies for every skill. There are certain organizations creating it very specifically for a certain skill. So the new roles that I see, one, obviously the system administration part, the second part is content curation, and the third is user experience. These are the three key capabilities that come into play when you have the LXP, but these roles are quite often shared, but it does result into increase of activities for them, so may result into additional heads as well. Do all of the AI features come as part of the licensing, or there separate fees for the AI? No, all of the AI capabilities come as part of the licensing, whether we're looking at generative AI capabilities, the automation capabilities, and being able to index content with skills and tags, etc. All of that is built in as part of the platform. There are no additional fees or licenses. When reviewing items included in these curricula, you mentioned they will be listed to the workspace. Will these items be reviewed automatically in these curricula as we do now? Or should I go to each workspace to review these items? Please clarify. So if you do add an item, feature an item or into a playlist or a curricula very specific, or sorry, within a playlist or a learning track or within a workspace, if you are featuring a course and you revise that item, yes, it does need to be replaced again there. We do provide reports around where an item is in use in across what journeys or what playlists, etc. So you do have the ability to run those to automatically replace, but no, just revising an item will not automatically revise them across all of the different components. Okay. Can HR add a completion document such as proof of attendance, for example? Marjorie, when it comes to completion documents such as proof of attendance, not necessarily for these, because essentially when you look at the digital or the online content completion, then that's tracked automatically. When it comes to any of the completions around the instructor-led sessions, then the instructor-led session and tracking is still being delivered by SuccessFactors directly. So you would have a similar approach to what you do today. It wouldn't necessarily change that. Of course, within the workspace, what you have is if you need to track any of these documents. So if you had a workspace, for example, I don't know, if you were running an HBU new hire training as an example, you can create a private folder where you have the ability to attach evidence and leave it in there, but that is not necessarily factored into any automation to drive the attendance records and things like that. Okay, and I think again, not within Blend, but we do also, talent team does also offer, we do also offer a QR code based attendance management system where again, you can essentially leave a QR code, users can simply check in, check out automatically and be able to drive those, the automation of attendance through that. If someone does several mistakes with a specific task and the skill is not easy or impossible to develop, how can we track this disqualification so that the manager could document it and be able to know who is not able to do this task? So again, when it comes to tasks, while WorkZone has some capabilities around task, it's not necessarily a task management tool. As I mentioned earlier, Talent Team, we do offer an observation tool, where if there are challenges with a certain task, etc., then you are able to report on those tasks, the failure of those tasks, and also be able to come up with or devise essentially an appropriate plan or strategy around how can you create better development opportunities, learning opportunities around those specific tasks or skills. So again, I'm happy to probably arrange for a separate demonstration of the observation tool at some point in the future, but that's not really covered within Blend. I think when we start to look at the Blend capabilities, yes, as users are taking training, as users are carrying out activities within the platform, there is reporting available within that, and that can often provide insights to users and managers in being able to take necessary learning actions as well. Something I didn't really cover, but if I go into explore, this is possibly one area that could be related as well. In the recommendations, there was one area which was based on assessment. While there may not be anything in this at the moment, there is. So what this can do is you can set up an assessment in SuccessFactors Learning, a quiz or an exam in SuccessFactors Learning, and based on how a user answers a specific question or how the user performs in the assessment or an objective, we can take learning actions based on that. So if a user fails an objective, you can have certain courses recommended to the user. If the user passes an objective, you can have another course recommended to the user. If the user fails the exam, you can have the user waived from a certain course, so completion being marked for them. So all of that is our assessment-based assessment-based recommendations or assessment-based action, because based on the assessment that the user has taken, we're able to drive many actions, whether that's recommending, assigning a course, marking a course complete, etc. So that is, once again, all part of the platform and integrated into SuccessFactors learning assessments capabilities. Okay, I believe I've covered all of the questions that were there. I think there's something else in the chat. I'll take a quick look. In addition to the upcoming Blend webinars I talked about, I think I do also want to call out that next, in a couple of weeks, we are running another session, another webinar with Lightcast around skills. And this is the truth about skills-based transformation, no fluff, just results. How do you execute a skill strategy which impacts recruitment, development, retention, etc. And how do you really build around that, around determining the ROI and driving that? So once again, I do highly recommend, if you have the time, then please do register. The link has been shared for registration in the chat. If there are any, I don't see any further questions in the chat, but if there is anything else that we can help with, then, once again, bringing up the slide, you do have our contact details. Actually, they were in the other slide. You do know our contact details, talentteam.com. So please do reach out and we'll be happy to engage in a conversation if we can help you in any way further. Otherwise, I will see you on one of our upcoming sessions. Thanks, everyone.